Do you have a plan to get a mining job, or have you been sold the magic bean plan? Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and today we're going to look at the different plans people use to get mining jobs, and I'm going to show you why the majority of these plans are the magic bean plan if you want to actually get a mining job where you're going to work and blowing things up. So let's jump over and we'll have a look at our map of Australia with all the jobs on it. Now I've loaded up all the gold and copper mines around the country, so this is where all the jobs are, and that's really important for when we look at how to get a job. And next we're going to have a look at our mining job flow chart. So this is a list of all the jobs that you're going to get in mining, and they're all in columns. And the reason that we put them all in columns is because it's a different area of the industry. And this area of the industry over here is the mining jobs that you want. So this is the column that you want to be in. Now the reason that we are looking at it this way is because a lot of people get sold that you can go in as a utility and then you can jump over to a production mining job. That's a magic bean plan. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I can count on one hand the amount of people that make the jump from a utility job into a production mining job and make a long-term career out of it. It's very, very small. You have to be extremely charismatic to do it, and there's not a lot of opportunity because of the poaching rules. And you can have a look at some of the videos that I've done on poaching rules to see why that happens. And the next one people get told to do is go and get a whole heap of equipment tickets, and then that way you can get a job. And if we come over to Seek and we type underground in, so we've typed underground in, these are all the underground jobs, and this is the underground truck operator job. This isn't even for Northern Star, which is a big owner operator mine. This isn't even the entry level job ad that we're looking at. This is the one underneath. And if we scroll down and have a look at what's required, what you'll need is they want previous underground mining experience is highly valued, but we welcome applicants with the right attitude and willingness to learn. That means that there aren't enough people around with the experience to drive these trucks, so they're taking anybody on, even in the ad that isn't the entry-level ad. Now, qualifications: must hold a manual C-Class driver's license. This is where you would think that there would be equipment tickets, but there aren't any equipment tickets, because the reason there aren't any equipment tickets is that all these employers on all these hard rock mines around the country, due to the way the legislation's set up in each state, have to be able to prove in a court of law that they've done everything they can to train you. That means that they can't accept any equipment tickets on site. They have to issue all their own equipment tickets, procedures, inductions, and every time you move sites you have to redo everything on the new site you go to. It's a ginormous pain in the ass, but it's made the industry a hell of a lot safer. And it's for that reason that when people tell you to go and get some equipment tickets and then go and get some shutdown work and some construction work and you'll be able to pivot into a mining job, it's just the magic bean plan again, because these columns here aren't mining. This column here is shutdown work, which is maintenance. This column here is construction. They're building stuff. That's utilities. They're feeding us. This is the maintenance job for the actual mine site. This is the column for the actual mining jobs that people want, and these are the degree jobs in the mining industry. If you want a mining job, the best advice is to start in this column. Anybody that's telling you to start in these columns over here and you're going to make the jump over, it really truly is a magic bean plan, because the amount of people that do it are tiny. It's a tiny amount of people. I always tell people, if you want to get a mining job, you're best off starting in this column over here. And how do you do that? Well, how you can start your career. There's a couple of simple rules that you use, and the best one is go where the employers have got no choice but to hire new starters. And at the moment, that's in the gold and copper mines around the country. Gold's over $4,500 an ounce Australian, copper's over $15,000 a tonne. They're just screaming for people. And then you need to give them what they want, somebody that knows how their mine works. Because like I say here, I can't make this any clearer to new starters, that teaching someone to drive the truck is the easy part. It only takes a couple of weeks. They're all point and shoot automatic, hydraulic steering. They are the most expensive trucks that you'll ever drive, $3 to $4.5 million, but the easiest. They're all point and shoot. The problem is teaching the person enough about how the mine works so they can be left alone to drive them on their own. This is the hard part, and the reason that 50% of more than 50% of green new starters fail in their first mining job in the first 6 months. Even the ones with lots of equipment experience fail. I've watched a lot of experienced operators come in and they just can't get their head around how the mine works. And so if you can't be left alone to get on with the job, it doesn't matter how well you operate the machinery. If they need to have a second person there making sure you're not getting lost or you're not getting in the way of other people or making sure you're doing it right, then you're not going to have a job for very long. That happens a hell of a lot, unfortunately. It's as simple as that, and it's pure sink or swim training with a lot of people sinking, and that's why we wrote the training. And if you do study and learn how it all works, it puts you 6 to 8 weeks ahead of everybody else that's looking for these jobs. And that's how you're going to get your job in the industry in one of these columns. Walking in knowing how it all works. And the other thing too is that if you're lucky enough to pick one of these jobs up and you go in green, it's more than 50% failure rate. That's why there's a never-ending stream of these entry-level jobs and these truck driver jobs and nipper jobs going. Everybody's looking for people because they're all turning them over. Agi jobs are the same. They go through countless Agi drivers. They hire people that know how to use the Agi. That's not the issue. The issue is getting their head around how the mine works so they're not ripping down ventilation and destroying services and getting in everybody's way. That's the problem. You don't have a lot of time when you get to site to pick this stuff up. If you don't have a good mentor on site, it can be really difficult to get it. And that's why we wrote the training. We wanted to give people an option so they could sign up for a course and teach you exactly how it all worked, so you weren't relying on anybody when you got to site to show you the ropes. You were just relying on them to show you around, and you had everything else. You'd still take on board that information, obviously, but if you did get somebody that wasn't a good communicator, or they'd just been shown themselves, or there was a personality clash for whatever reason, you could still make it work for yourself, and that's the whole idea of this. And so the other good thing about the DIY, and this is why I encourage everybody to do the DIY, and then if you want help, like if you want your 3-step plan done, you can upgrade to the 3-step plan. You just pay the difference. Or if you want to upgrade to the work ready to get the help from the shift boss, you just upgrade and pay the difference. But the thing with the DIY is that you're going to know whether you want to go mining or not once you do it, because we get so many people that do the training that once they find out what that job actually entails and what's going to be expected of you on site and what the culture is, that they don't want to do it anymore. And the only way to really learn it is to do the full, the DIY package. It's got all the information in it. It tells you exactly how it all works. It goes through the truck driver's role. It goes through service crew. It goes through the nipper's role. Tells you what you're going to expect on site and what the how it all works, and exactly what you're going to have to do up there. And that makes a huge difference, and especially if you want one of these mining jobs in this column. But like I said, if you've been told to get a utility job or a shutdown job and then you're going to jump into a mining job after that, you've definitely been sold the magic bean plan. And it doesn't work very often at all. Most people get stuck in utility work or shutdown work, and that's why I say shutdown work just leads normally to more shutdown work, because it's maintenance work. It's not mining work. This is the maintenance work on the mining side of things. This is the maintenance work with the shutdown, the infrastructure, and then you've obviously got the construction, and it doesn't branch over. It is what it is. You need to be in this column. This is the column that you want to start in, and this is the column that you want to finish in. So I hope you found that information helpful. There's some videos on this page that you can have a look at as well. There's the links to the packages below, but it's definitely the way into the industry, and it really is that simple, that if you go where the employers want you and you know how their mind works and you can hold that conversation with them, then chances are really high that you're going to get a mining job, because at the moment they are stuck for people all over the country. There's a huge shortage of people in Kalgoorlie and Mount Isa, in the middle of New South Wales. They just can't get anybody. So if you're willing to go and you know how it all works, it puts you in the box seat to get a job. So I hope you found that information helpful, and remember, you want to use a real plan to get a mining job, not the magic bean plan, and the real plan is to educate yourself so you can hold the conversation with the foreman in the interview. That's the way to get your mining job. I see a lot of people going with the magic bean plan around the place, and it just doesn't work. So I hope you found that information helpful, and if you've got any questions that you'd like answered in our podcast, please send them through, and if you could like and subscribe the channel. Thanks.